Back. Yo, 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 yo. Y'all gonna get a two for today, man. Double up. Double header. Oh, wait, I ain't even sharing the screen. Y'all can't even ride with me while we coming in. All right, man. Sometimes you got to get the sugar with the shit. So let's see. I still like to push 45 like Mike back just to make a statement. He said he gonna need a body bag on my. Oh wait, let me share the screen so y'all can see this. Y'all coming in too. I know that's what they be waiting for is if you're gonna have the music and shit rocking. So yeah, hey, this little shit is hot. I gotta find this. I know they gonna tag it in a minute. Salute, just BB Jesus. I'm gonna share this, but I'm gonna get into some content today. I know we got Sin G going later, so I might as well run a double header. I was gonna do a plot twist. Yeah, I think I want to do a plot twist review just because Sin going a little bit later to help build up some momentum and stuff. Some people will start registering as they come on in on a good Sunday. So yeah, but yeah, let me share this. So this is for the people who like boxing, and it goes with my last commentary. So I'm gonna let y'all come on in here. Just a statement. He don't need a body bag. He said smooth criminal like Mike Jack. And then he said pull the tank out just to make a statement. And he still like the total 45 like Mike Jack. Bring the tank out just to make a statement. He gonna need a body bag. Like that if it don't capture the gender war and media and this was I don't know who this is, but I think it's slap. So let me stop it real quick so y'all can get with me. Because I'm probably loud as I'm outside. There we go. All right, so there's a couple of things that I'm going to talk about first because it does relate to my experience that I shared yesterday. Not yesterday. Was it yesterday? So right now, like these dudes is like brothers, you know what I'm saying? Shakur Stevenson. So in the boxing world, I'm going to catch you up first, and then we'll have a conversation. It's going to be a double hitter anyway. So I like the lyrics, of course. I kind of talked about those ones as they relate towards media and the gender war. Right, so you have this attitude of this persona, this bravado being displayed, where if I flex on you financially, it's something like pulling a tank out, like the No Limit Soldiers or whatnot. And that's media, because especially as all the different interconnecting storylines that go with it, the different plot twists. And that's essentially what I do here. And so secondly, though, beyond just the I pull a tank out as a flex, you know what I'm saying, not like a armament, but then he goes and says, what do you say? But I keep a 45 like Mike back. I guess that's somebody's number, I guess, football jersey number or something like that. It has the gun references, gun culture, and all of that shit is popping. So yeah, I dig that he has the aggression when he's even pushing towards the Second Amendment as well. Right? So you got First Amendment argument, you got Second Amendment argument. And then because the First Amendment argument doesn't always work, then he says he's gonna need a body bag. So that's what I'm talking about right there. And that's not my lyric. That's not my bars. I don't own the rights to that music, that content, or even these people in their lives. But as we shared the real stories and the plots with real people's lives, this one struck home for me. Why? Because I love boxing. And that's just, I thought boxing was just as American as pie. Like if we did anything well, it hurts that when we see our boxers go to the Olympic championships, we're like, man, where the gold's at? I mean, we have a black woman who will bring back the Olympic gold. But when it comes to the men group of Olympic champions going worldwide to fight, i.e. world traveler, global diaspora, should black men leave America, whatever it is, and go to compete, fighting, throwing them hands, it seemed to me, it's not just simping, it's a good compromise. That's his bro right there, though. And in their relationship dynamic, it is about throwing them hands. And so you got Youngin Yeti Black, salute. You got Youngin right here. That's crazy too, because on some days I beat one salute, and then the other days I actually throw peace. So I guess today is a day of peace. Because I know what's coming. There's a show later that everybody can build up for. So my content has purpose, it has value without me even having to say it. As a part of the B1 network, we deliver. And so this message is not going to stop. We're not going to keep hitting you upside your head until everybody has access to that message. I think that the best part of Black YouTube is that it did bring forth the trifecta, which is enabling donations. But you're supporting a cause, or you're spreading awareness and enabling donations. And so I actually support the fact that when she came out fighting, it was she's writing a book as well. And so with that being said, her First Amendment right to write a book, whatever she puts in there, the juicy content and details of sex workers' lives and the struggle for freedom for sex trafficked victims from a young age, however she frames her book, I don't know what she puts in it, personal testimonies or the pathology of Black women or the pathology of Black men. However she does it, I say salute and kudos to the First Amendment right. And as that conversation progressed again, we started to see the spike in the numbers. It wasn't just a gender war in media, it was real for many people. And with that, there's my shout out, there's my plug. I know when, what's his name, Tariq, it's either Nasheed or Rashid, it's one of them. He started off, he said, shout out to brother Amiri Brown YouTube channel, the sponsor. And so I'm gonna say shout out to Sinji then, you bitch. Yeah, fuck y'all then, nigga, you bitch ass niggas. Fuck y'all. Anyway, and so Terrence Crawford represents that, the Omaha-born Nebraska. And even though Errol Spence Jr. is my favorite, and that's the welterweight, that's like undisputed match. Like we've been waiting for that. That's like Hearn. That's Hearn. That's going back to Martin. Man, that's it. Like, and when this dude, he even celebrated when what's his name? Pernell Whitaker died. He fought like on the same night with the whole tribute and everything, and his style mimicked that and everything. So if you love boxing and you love American culture with violence inside of it, then that's drama. And there's no way that we can run from drama. Now, we deliver content, and yes, there is drama because we're dealing with real people's lives here. That's like his little bro in that elevator. And so what you see that takes place, yeah. You know what I'm saying? The homies laughing and shit like, yeah, you think it's a game, huh? You know he got hands, so laughing is already like a, yeah. He reaching in the elevator at his little bro, and you would anticipate that there might be the little homie who think he can stand in the way and a brother to brother. But okay, check it out. A little pushback, get him out the elevator. They holding the door, so that lets you know they welcome it. Because if they get this dude in the elevator, my first stop was to grab little Terrence Bud Crawford, 150 pounds soaking wet with a 5-pound dumbbell in his hoodie pocket, and snatch his ass in that elevator with all of us so we can tussle with him, because it's curtains if we get him in there, right? These the little homies, and it's just expectations. If you're talking about a gender war, what do you anticipate the men in this situation to do? Now, we've had social media commentary where men in the elevator with women, and we see what men do when they're in the elevator with women, but when the social media space or Black Twitter calls it out, you'll have Black men who defend the Black man who would take off on a woman in real life. This is a fake jumping with somebody laughing. You got the numbers and the odds with you. Yeah, that might be your big brother, but your big brother is trying to put his hands on you in this moment. And them niggas play too much. And so what you see happen here is that dynamic where it's like the little homie with the yellow sweater, you're closest. This dude that he's protecting is the meal ticket. That is your cash crop. That's your athlete. That's your $250,000 just to show up and exercise his skill. Now, Terrence Bud Crawford, he ain't stepping in that ring for anything less than 3 to 7 million right about now. I mean, he even wanted them numbers when he fought weak ass Amir Khan, who had hands back in the day in the diaspora. And that dude tapped out at like one low blow. Amir Khan wouldn't have made it with Errol Spence, because Errol Spence might hit you 4 times. And what we saw when it comes to the body work or not head hunting all the time and throwing haymakers, Shakur Stevenson just had a fight. And he hit dude in the body more. I think that fight is legacy, that one fight with all of those body shots, if you missed it. The little bro in the elevator. So he's the cash cow. You would expect these little knucklehead homies that surround him, since they already know that this nigga bet not touch me. I don't care if that's my big bro. Nigga, you standing here, nigga, get it. Nigga, this was gonna happen. So you check them out. Boom, boom, boom. He throwing punches. He hit him in the body a couple of times. It happened quick. And now his hand's right at his head. See, that's big bro. Just because he touched him in the body didn't mean nothing. He could still, you see him. He leaning. The other homie even grabbing him. He leaning in the elevator like, man, you better get your ass in here. You know big bro got hands, right? Hold on. Boom! It looked like you almost kicked him and everything. So don't just let it fool you. Terrence Crawford is actually an athlete. He's younger than me. He like in his 30s though, but he's a young homie. And this is what we talking about, right? Black men. Boom, boom. Like he trying to kick him, but now the homies done riled him up. Look like they really were rushing. They didn't unload it out the elevator. So this like some Tupac Shakur MGM Grand shit now. This like some Tupac Shakur MGM Grand shit. Except these niggas just playing. And see, now the cash cow done left. How is this nigga behind the nigga? That nigga, you the homie, nigga, you supposed to be in front of that nigga. How is he coming out the elevator before you? Nigga, these niggas can't be security. This is not securing and this is not protection. You have $1 million cash cow right there in the elevator with you and can't protect. Uh-oh. But the little homie is at least on top in this one because he didn't bum rushed him. I don't know what it took to get him to actually take action, but they didn't push little homie out the elevator. And the big homie, the big bro, is on the turf with the jump man's up. He got, he almost in the fetal position, submitted. He almost tapped him out. Yeah, he's a professional boxer, and yeah, they're just playing. It's a fake jumping, and just work with me because we got stories to tell. Now you want to hop out the elevator? You didn't grab the leg. That's almost like what the police do. Full submission. One on one leg, one on the other. Where was y'all at when the dude was socking him up while he was in the elevator? But now that he on the ground, you hear, and look what he do. Look what the little homie do. Look what the little homie do. Boop, run up and kick him in the ass. Ain't that some bullshit? That's the little bro that just ran up and kicked him in the ass, the big bro, while the little homies is jumping him. And so some people may not understand the dynamics of what that intra-conflict looked like, but don't talk about a gender war if the expectation on warfare will be some form of violence and your response is nothing about violence. Even a fake jumping can be used as an example. Look at these youngsters. The rapper on it, or the track that they use, is rapping on some Michael Jackson Who's Bad or Smooth Criminal. And isn't that always the argument about the Pookie and the Ray Ray? And so the Pookie and Ray Ray should have been the person who, if he found an athletic outlet like boxing, then he could have made something of himself. Now he's adding value, but does it make him high value if he's still ready to jump out the elevator and bum rush you, brother or not? You're like, nah, that nigga ain't my real brother, that brother from a different mother. So they put the hands on the black man from Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, nigga remind me of that movie like Belly. And then he kicked him in the ass. Now they jumped him and he said, you're going to need a body bag. Look at him. Look at it. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one. They'd have damn near hog tied him. If they had rope, they'd have wrapped his little legs up. They'd have damn near Emmett Tilled that man. He'd have need a whole body bag. And there was a whole body bag. And I know they'll probably strike the video, but at least they'll turn around and at least tell me who was the artist on it. Once they strike it, they typically put like the information of the song or whoever it was underneath it. Now I shared the screen of where I got it from. It's already being shared. It's public information. A lot of people didn't know that. So a 2 for 1. I was doing something when I started this. And getting back to what I was doing requires me to actually dive back into where a lane is currently being filled, which is the history. We got Taz exclusives in the B1 network that provides a historical context. And in my association, that was some fire hood comments, man. Salute. Hey, we do it. We'd rather talk about sports anyway. Masculine talk. They had it messed up thinking that we should have been in the women's spaces talking about what women are talking about, and then having the nerve to have a problem with what women are talking about in the women's spaces. And then for years, they've been able to base all of their content on that very premise. They've never relieved themselves of their obligation to snap back or to clap back at Black women who are having a conversation in their spaces about what Black women want to talk about. But in my space, I was always like, what are the facts? You're like, you want to do something healthy for your mind, start doing healthy for your body. And they say it's little things like tea can start going a long way if you discipline yourself to do it every day. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me how they were able to do it every day. Me being a married man, I tried even putting together the content with Cynthia G's face on it. I tried putting the content with Nyla Seth's face on it. And I felt like I was being compulsive. It's like one of those COM words. It felt weird and awkward. So to know that for the last 5 years they've done this is not only annoying, but it is the true testament of why what we do is necessary. They don't consider that dereliction. Facts. This was the 5th census. So those are 2 facts in themselves. The 3rd fact would be 1830, or the date to which that we can have these conversations. Taz Exclusive said, let's do 1860. Bro Rob said, let's do Reconstruction. If you're a Garveyite, you want to do the 20s. If you're a part of BCU, Top Cat University, then their time span is a lot wider. But for the Black American experience, it is on Black people to actually pull out the receipts and the information and lay the framework, whether people accept it or not. And now I'm used to it. These numbers, 12, 13, that's about the numbers that I'm used to when it comes to the real information. So the 5th census in 1830 was also taken under the direction of the Secretary of State, but prior to the passage of the Census Act, which is where we get a basis of all of our what we call fact in America. So American fact, i.e. we don't want to just talk about the European pathology yet. We're not into talking about the African-American pathology. We're just trying to find the framework for establishing fact-based intellectual conversation. Within that hierarchy of government, President Adams, in his 4th annual message to Congress, which is his address to the representatives, at this time, 1830, is when they would have these slavery-based conversations, dated December 28, 1828, suggested the desirability of commencing the enumeration from an earlier period of the year than the 1st of August, the most favorable season being the spring, and also that the columns of age. So they're adding, how do we segregate, or how do we branch out? How do we determine what a preference is? How do we humanize this experience using data? How do we determine what a fact actually is? And so they started with columns of age in the same manner to which, when we're having the conversation with Black men, if Black men and their desirability conversations go to the age of consent, red flag. Because now we can make a correlation. So we don't move directly into any accusations. We just let the information be what the information is as it's being presented. And for us, yeah, I do have to piece in my life experiences. It's inseparable. But in the plot twist, there's this underlying current that we're not basing our arguments. In fact, we're just talking, and I beg to differ. Skip past the hood commentary and get to the message, and then we can skip back to some fun shit. We have a great show lined up later. I say we because I do feel connected. There's no separation. I get a B1 salute. 999 other men can get the other type of salutation. My nigga Real, what up, blood? I used to feel a little bit ashamed about saying what up, blood. And then I saw that nigga Snoop Dogg on the Super Bowl. I said, fuck that nigga, blood. If that nigga made it to the Super Bowl, fuck it, nigga, I might as well be me authentically. But yeah, the history of the gender war and deeply rooted into the segregating, distincting. This was age. The gender war says gender. And if they can't use a fact based on intellectual framework, then man, they gonna struggle having conversations with Brother Moses, because that's my standard and expectation. I don't budge. I don't fuck with these goofy ass niggas, and they only got a couple of times before they can elevate themselves out of that goofy ass nigga category. But after a few times, we got to get back to the facts. Goofy is entertainment, but we have work to do, because 1830 was the fifth census, and black male pathology is now denigrated the black man to him and his bottle, or that fifth of Hennessy. And the marketing and media and advertising, they don't even get paid. But in the communities, that fifth of Hennessy is not just symbolic, it means something. It's not just the re-regulation of cortisol, but it means something. And while I still find value in being able to share that fifth of Hennessy with the homies, others would just dismiss them right under the bus, as if our grandfathers had nothing to do with our relationships with black male degeneracy. Under the provisions of this act, the marshals were directed to appoint one or more assistants to each county and city, and to give to each assistant a certain division, which should not consist in any case of more than one county, but could include one or more towns, townships, wards, hundreds, precincts, or parishes, which should plainly, and I tell you, when they start distributing power, somebody should hear this that I'm saying and be like, damn, is he preaching, or is this boy just giving facts? Yeah, Hennessy is the re-regulation of cortisol. I had to give a masculine, had the niggas playing some shit real quick. They hating on Hennessy like, man, I work 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week. Hennessy is still gonna be Hennessy. Don't transatlantic slave trade Hennessy, man, for drinking Hennessy, man. Y'all be doing too much. I didn't sign up to be Muslim, man. Fuck y'all. Y'all asserting the wrong expectations on the wrong group of people. Fuck you mean? And I'm from NorCal. I let the Hennessy go. But shit, if you want me to give up the peace pipe, then we need to stop the war. Because tobacco is still killing me. All right, let's move forward, because this is the fifth census, and they like to use census data, but they don't even root their argument and even why the census data is important. It's important because it was segmenting society on what they considered to be important. They told you that in 10-year intervals is when they were doing it. This being the fifth would put you back at 1880 then. So the Revolutionary War. So what's so revolutionary about, oh, the black woman needs to fix her hair, or the black woman better not fix her lips to talk shit about the black man in public? That's not a revolutionary concept, my G. Just like escapism or going to Africa is not a revolutionary concept. Even in 1880, it was the coming and going. Now, the boats that were trafficking humans, if you want to talk about the trans experience and put your hope in places like South Africa or Good Hope, or put your cape on for the African American, if that's your journey of intellect, so be it. Niggas got mad at telling Taz, man, leave them niggas alone, bro. You done beat them up, man. He like, man, fuck that shit. He didn't have to say fuck that shit, but it was like saying fuck that shit. But intellectually, there's nothing more that they can say, which is why they only have these little small niche group celebrations, backyard boogie style parties like the 1990s. If you talk about the Garveyite movement, if you talk about it from a lens of Pan-African or diaspora or the interchange of human connecting, you know, that shit, humans connecting, yeah, that's some old, that's O'Shea Duke Jackson. That's Search for Uhuru. That's that fat nigga, what's his name? Phil Advise. That's a whole different network than the B1 network. Just like I would shout out legendary Top Cat, Because when I do my research, the 1820s, which would have been the fourth census, is the very same census for the Black Seminole Indians when they filed their reparations claim. And that lineage, whether it went to Oklahoma from Florida or Texas or the other places, is what Top Cat is rebranding today. And he can impose the standard of, if you're not willing to use DNA and genealogy along with your oral traditions, then get the fuck out of my chat. Get out of my group, get out of my Discord, get out of my, what do they call them shits on they got them little spaces where they meet up. It's the new party line, the new party city. You got to get invited or something, whatever it's called. Somebody put that shit in the chat where they all meet up now. Not like Black Twitter, which is just another form of it. And see, our thing was distinct and precise. We're not fucking playing around with these pedo dudes. When their argument went towards just similar as we see what's on the screen, the column of age, and their argument is now about moving that age of consent with international travel. I don't want to align with international travel age of consent. And when you use their words in the spaces they visit with the actual facts of their argument and try to impose that on the B1 network, I said, nigga, hell no. You can take 999 niggas the fuck away from my algorithm today. And if there's anything wrong about that, then I'll stand on it. CISPM, Marcus Garvey got them. They have a space for them. I used to laugh at it, but now it is a part of an exchange, not just of thought, but of human bodies. And if they voluntarily submit themselves to that dogma or that doctrine, I'm saying, Black women, you should be giving them niggas the deuces. Because what we have seen is that the failure to protect Black women started to elevate Black femicide. And when the media grabbed onto it and said, wait, this is an issue, those same Black men didn't say, hold on, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me back up. Let me wait. Those same Black men started doubling and tripling down. We saw that conversation evolve when Kevin Samuels blew up and started getting millions of people. But yo, Heights niggas will tell you that nigga didn't have a ground. He didn't have a philosophy. He didn't have a dogma. But once you watch the plot twists, you can see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears that he evolved the philosophies of CISPM word for word with this passport, travel connection, diaspora, African-American conceptual framework, and sexual tourism. And that's how they say they're fighting back. By trying to get Cynthia G, Nyla Says, or other Black women, CK, I keep saying I think. I know there were other Black women who can be even more radical than that if you want to take the step towards like a Michi X. But they'll jump and put all the Black women into that just because the Black woman is like, we'll check. I'll tell a black man, nigga, if you follow Kevin Samuels, then you're gonna have to tell me why I stand on that shit. And if he's not willing to, he only got a couple of times before that goofy shit is just annoying. Nigga, deuce. Because I really do want to debate that shit. Nigga, do you understand those principles? Or is this something that was just entertainment for you? Because grandma already told niggas trash in, trash out, but grandma loved the soap operas. This is like reality TV to some people, and because of that, ain't no running from this shit. Fuck you mean? Snoop Dogg got to do his little crip walk on the stage. He had dancers and shit out there doing the crip walk and shit. But the gender war eludes them. because now it's about gender and men don't want that war. If it was about that war, murder was the case. Shit, you goddamn right. I guess he is the icon for murder of the case, not Future. Future is the actual icon for, oh, that nigga gets women anyway, but he gets these women and I want women too, which is what drives these dudes away from facts and deep inside their traumas. While one person, under the provision of the act, would have been directed and appointed, let me highlight it, directed to appoint one or more assistants to each county and city and give to each a certain division, which should not consist in any case, so no overlapping jurisdiction. It could include one or more towns, townships. They called them the hundreds. Precincts, if you're on the pro-police or back the blue side. I know it's some of you in here. I'm not against the police. I'm against those motherfuckers who think they want to whoop my ass. I've experienced it. I know it to be true. You don't got to tell me about pink unicorns. If you are pro, and in many cases, black women, I don't know how there's too many black women who should not be pro precinct. Who the fuck else is supposed to come with a gun if it gets to that point? The level of protection and servicing that black women need in the community, according to the numbers, would suggest that black women should be pro-police union. And that's if it has to get to the Second Amendment right. And who should exercise the Second Amendment right? Because if she has to get the body and she becomes Snoop Dogg, murder was the case, why would she want to live with that on her own consciousness? That's not the respect for the creation of life. That's destruction of life. It seems like it would be a conflicting thing with her natural nature, I guess. Natural nature, that's almost like mathematics. Say it twice. And parishes is important because at this time we know Louisiana and the tragic mulatto or the mulatto experience. There was a lot of this mixing that was happening anyway. And it's not revolutionary for the men who are against what those men would focus on that we hear. They said, well, let's focus on the age. We're like, all right, if we're going to focus on the age, it'll be the protection. That's not what we experienced in Black YouTube. It was not about the protection of this age. It wasn't about, when it comes to power, this is actual power. So the power to protect or the power to appoint, the power to determine. Somebody had the power to appoint, but what they appointed was also power. And within that power, it was over in large, vast territories of households. So with that decision, how are we represented and our views? How are our perspectives going to be represented and by whom? And when someone is appointed with that power who does not represent your best interests, it's problematic. I'm Black first. There are people who would want somebody who is strongly Indian. There are people who would want people strongly race-based. White, Irish, Italian, however you want to do it. And the gender war now is that evolution that says there are people who would strongly want gender. So 1830 was the 5th census. I don't want to give too much. 1830 is just a quick snapshot for those people who think about it in a form of a framework. This one is intelligible information. It establishes the framework of what is an intelligent conversation. Because when we look at it from the lens of people, oh, the census says, we know that it's talking about a population group. These race-based arguments can sometimes be taken too far because people don't see themselves inside of the race-based argument as situated as they can. They understand that the races have mixed so much that you would have to be discriminating against so much of your ancestors or so many of your ancestors in 1830. And for me, the argument, if their ancestors weren't in America in 1830 and they didn't make it to this census or no Dawes Roll or none of that shit in the first place, they aren't even in our conversation amongst Black men and Black women. That's just the way I feel. If they were on a whole nother continent, or their story deals with the Mexican experience or the Aztec experience, it is what it is. Their colonial experience is just different if we're talking actual facts. If they're talking actual families. What time did she say she was going live again? I thought it said 1 on my time, and I want to make sure that I'm not conflicting with the content that's actually being delivered here. Because again, I am a support to camp right now, man. I am an aide to camp, and I can show you 1,000 different ways of why being an aide to camp matters. Let me do another one. HOK connection. From the HOK connection, this would be their representative, Dr. Ma'at, who discusses pathology and also has some form of psychology and social science degree. Similar to when they say Brother Jabari, who Taz Exclusives debated. Taz Exclusives doesn't debate Dr. Oya Adwoa Ma'at. She would be the representation. And as we see, let me make sure I zoom it up because I deal in facts. These are merged. I don't want people saying Brother Moses just gets on talking. No, this is what's happening today. And even though I gave you the history, even the history lesson that I gave you, and even though I gave you entertainment, I gave you the entertainment from the same topic. It may seem everywhere, but focus. In their chat, they're talking about the Dr. Umar experience. And if you listen to it, this Black woman praises the hell out of the Dr. Umar role. So we good. If it says 4 p.m. East Coast time, then we good. B1 Brother Moses, because like I said, whether I only have 1 or 2 in the chat has always been good with me. People was just like, Moses, you should speak more. But then other people listened and was like, no, Moses is kind of boring, number one. And then number two, what they say, soliloquies, you be talking like that. And then the other part about it, it is similar. In the oral tradition, Umar Johnson has it bad. He'll say the same thing 3, 4, 5 times back to back to back. And I do that circular reasoning for an hour to prove the same point. So you can literally catch a 10-minute segment and I'm just driving home the same point using a different example. But that's essentially what the B1 network is. How many different ways can we show you all the same thing? They'll tell you that nobody talks about this stuff. And they'll also tell you that nobody's able to present the intellectual counter argument one way or the other. And I tell you, yeah, there are, but these won't be the ones getting significant numbers of views. This one, on the other hand, simply by putting in Cynthia G versus Umar Johnson, can get 3,000 or 3,500 views. On average, when you look at Dr. Oye Adwoa Ma'at, and I call these people all a part of the empowerment community from their own lens. And I think they all benefit from the trifecta if you listen to B1 Brother Moses. And that's just me applying my corporate organizational structure, knowledge, and education to what's happening in real time. The trifecta is in the Black empowerment or the empowerment community space or the advocacy community. I heard, what's her name? Yvette Carnell. Is it Yvette Carnell? Irene Yvette. No, Irene Yvette. I know Irene Yvette. There we go again. Irene Yvette seems to be more aligned with. Anyway, sorry. These are all different people. At some time, I may circle back and then moving forward. Dr. Oye Ma'at then is Black psychopathy or Black pathology from psychology or from an educated Black woman's lens, educated in social sciences and psychology. All right. I just want to give the credit where it's due without it being like, I don't have to be a neutral party. You know where I stand on the HOK. You know where I stand about this woman siding with Dr. Umar Johnson with most of her rhetoric. And even if I play it for you, it would only confirm it. Is that throwing her under the bus because she is the way she is? No, it's just saying that this is our reality. That's the plot twist. Yes, Taz exclusives debated Jabari, who was supposed to be the intellectual Floyd Mayweather, according to the person who structured the House of Consciousness, Sa Neter. And I'm giving you these body bags, they matter. Body bags matter, and as you see on the chat. So here we go. The terms Baba and the endearment to Africa, or the Oyo or the Orishas. So instead of it being Cape Hope, now you're talking about I'll use the modern, the Woman King, or the Dahomey tribe, or the Oyo, or that entire region of the slave trade. And Moses wants to just show you the facts and leave it at that. I say it's not revolutionary. I say the niggas ain't doing much. I do want to play some though. So here you go.
We got a stimulus pack. Our stimulus package came from Ronald Reagan in the boys. And they decided to let crack flow in our community, and a lot of people got rich. But what it did though,
see, I would stop it right there, and that's where niggas start having a problem. The niggas said, we got a stimulus package as black people, and this is her Baba. Our stimulus package was crack cocaine from President Ronald Reagan. I wish I could make this shit up. Should I rewind and let him say it again?
It doubled down on that wolf mentality. It doubled down and said, ooh, I know y'all out there and y'all.
So it doubled down on the wolf mentality, which I would say he's conflating to the black male pathology, or the white or the European pathology. He just has a different way of phrasing it, because he's a part of the House of Consciousness. You know, they're poets and shit. They're either Bible scholars or poets.
I'm figuring out a way to be positive in your poverty. Let me throw a bone out here in the middle of this poverty. Let me
throw a bone to the wolves.
Throw something self-destructive. Are you gonna sell a dope? Are you gonna eat or get eaten? What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
We're gonna take away the jobs, because if you notice, a recession hit right before crack hit.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
we're gonna take away the jobs, throw this bone out here, and see who gonna eat, who gonna get eaten. Like,
see, and I can only give that much because there's so much there. Like, if that isn't enough for you to understand why the B1 network pushes back against all that shit. First of all, your reparations was crack, nigga. And the decision that black men made to either sell it or be the wolf and accept the bone inside of the black community is the primary argument of the 80s of why the black man, or what took the black men out of the household. So again, why would you be against the Cynthia G if your Baba is presenting a TB, damn it, the acronym, TBOTH argument? If your Baba is the one presenting the same TBOTH argument, took black men out the home argument, or should we listen to Tommy Mack, who is the black woman advocate of the LGBT community, or be like Umar Johnson and request an apology from the advocate of the LGBTQ community as your methodology of fighting back against what I just showed you was the power dynamic that even Umar Johnson got up there and cried about, which never answered the fucking question. How are black men fighting back by crying after the show that you were supposed to disclose for me the health and the gender information of your, I guess, contestant or show host, guest, panelist, contributing voice, member, LGBTQ member? You need the medical, you need the HIPAA information. It didn't make sense to me that it ever went to the gender of hope. In our case, as black people, hope is why they wanted to become conscious black and leave the Christian church in the first place, isn't it? They got tired of hoping and they wanted to see actual action inside of the community. They wanted black men and black women to own black businesses, to own and have agency. Isn't that what they were preaching was against hope? Weren't they preaching to be transformational leaders in your everyday lives? Weren't they arguing that Black wealth is concentrated in either the household or the Black church, and that's it? So how would you then support Umar Johnson, who's saying Black unity, but can't build a single fucking school? Or are you on the side of the confused brother, or where racial ambiguity and gender fluidity or partnership with the LGBTQ community, allyship, whether all of those are just a form of monetization? Because we know he can get $1 million in Indiegogo for a hidden history museum in LA in less than a year and a half. And the LGBTQ ally has a partnership with Fox Soul. And in that same time that those Black men that Umar Johnson was not willing to partner with and unify with these CISPA men, while espousing the same philosophical tenets as Kevin Samuels, he can't build with them. But the Black woman who is endorsed and praised by the House of Consciousness, who is tenured, respected, earned her degree, still sides with that Black man on the gender war. And I'm just saying, if I don't slow it down and say it out of my mouth, like, nigga, how? So there it is. I've told you who she is. I've shown you her channel and all the information. If you want to check out the HOK's response. This is the video. This video here is what I would love to play, but they would definitely strike it. In fact, I think they're going to strike it anyway. And I really don't care that they take the video down. The people who were here got the message. But sometimes people do share it afterwards because it is good. So they're like, damn, why didn't you leave it up? Because I'm not the clicks and views. And what would really make this make sense is if I played this video right here. It shows the dynamic so well of what's going on in Plot Twist. And I could recommend it, and let's do that. The video is called Kanye Should Have Never Married. Kanye should have never married. And we're going to take a minute to take a quick look at that. I don't know if I play it with the audio on, they'll copyright it, or just because the video stream is showing, they'll copyright it. So what if I just tell you to view it real quick, and then, like a quick segue, I'll come back and wrap this thing on up. It'll be around 1 hour from my live stream and more. That's love. I'm showing love. I did my shout out to Cynthia G, who I believe I was trying to put the content together. I swear to God, it's hard as hell. As a married man, my wife walks in and sees the picture of Cynthia G on the screen. I had my snips and clips together. I was like, damn, I was ready to do it. Then I was like, this is really conflicting. How is it that men could have, for years, this has been their basis, their driving point? I even went back to start listening to some of the Cynthia G videos again. And you know when you watched them, because the red line on the bottom has gone all the way through. I hadn't even listened all the way through. But when I did, I promise you, I found some bars, some gems. And so eventually I'm going to get around to actually asking permission whether or not I can use some of the Cynthia G exclusive footage from when she dealt with it as a part of my content for the Plot Twist. Because there are people who are still coming in and they don't see the correlation. They don't understand why there's very few men who are ever even shouted out on the Cynthia G network. And if anybody ever heard of B1 Brother Moses and why I'm shouted out, now you know why. I gave you the current from the fighting, what's hot for men. I gave you the history of census as a form of fact-based discussion. It went back to the age of consent even then. Taz and I have argued against it. You'll find other people who've argued it. You can go to HOK. HOK, they have the Hebrew Israelites, and even there you'll find different Hebrew Israelite fractions split over this very same concept. And so what happened in the gender war, if we could not protect Black women like Cynthia G, which is our number one thing, you're doing it right now on the Tammy Fox Soul. He threw the Black woman under the bus, and all of these responses are just more and more examples of throwing an African American woman under the bus and exalting the Black man. And it's like, do you even hear yourself? But if you really want to know why, take your moment. Let's rock out. I actually want to rock out and hear it myself. And so I'm going to stop the share screen at least, and I'm going to play it on my end. Kanye should have never married. And I think even if I have the volume on, in the background, they may allow me just to take that section out without like taking the whole video down. And you know what? That right there is the entire gender war argument about domination. Is that I won't do a thing because the consequences are clear for me in the law. And in my relationship with white men or the law, I know that if I do X, then consequence might happen. And that alone stops me from doing what I think is the right thing to do, then I'm dominated. Which is why I be telling y'all, I don't give a fuck about them taking this shit down. This shit was only created because it was important and it had to have been put together. So I'm gonna finish my thought and I'm gonna let Sugar T Man finish this thought for me. I am B1 Brother Moses. This is all I got right now. And salute. Let them do what they gonna do. But from our perspective as Black people, we got a job to do one way or the other, whether them goofy niggas stop being goofy or not.
Mom, I'm telling you this shit crazy. Are you sure you wanna fucking marry Sugar B?
Yeah. Are you trying to put a curse on this man? You know what we did last night.
I mean, I think I already did. Don't fucking wait.
Run that back.
Ruin this man. Mom, I'm telling you this shit crazy. Are you sure you wanna fucking marry Sugar B?
Yeah. Are you trying to put a curse on this man? You know what we did.
Are you sure you want to marry this man? Are you trying to put a curse on this man? Run that shit back.
Mom, I'm telling you this shit crazy. Are you sure you wanna fucking marry Sugar B?
Yeah. Are you trying to put a curse on this man? You know what we did last night.
I mean, I think I already did. Don't fucking don't fucking ruin this man's life just because.
Don't ruin this man's life just because, bitch.
Don't fucking ruin this man's life just
Virtual
because.
hug, TMKC.
You don't turn up like we used to.
What she say? We don't give a fuck. We still finna turn up like we used to.
Turn up like we used to.
That bitch belongs to the streets.
A bitch belong to the streets. See, they made it about some future shit. Ain't that they God right now? Go ahead.
I have to turn up tomorrow. Stop fucking playing.
Alright, whatever.
Nothing is changing.
No, it's fine. You
Nothing is changing. She's just finna get married. Go ahead.
We will be going out
that shit about to
tomorrow.
stop.
close that bitch.
One in the back said, all that shit's finna stop. One in the back. 999 might say, this shit finna start. You know you ain't finna change. Marriage doesn't change nothing. Go ahead.
Close that bitch. Let's go. She ready.
Yeah, come on. Okay.
Close that bitch and let's go.
Come on.
So
All
ready.
right.
Good.
We
We
just
just
gonna
gonna
get
get this shit
over
over
with.
with.
We gotta get it over with.
Let's
Let's get married, guys. I'm so excited.
Right. Let's get married, because just because she got married doesn't mean she's now taken out of her relationships with her friends or co-workers. Her life still goes on. When tomorrow comes, this will most likely be her life. There is no conflict in that statement. But why would I get mad at the person who said it anyway? What sensitivity does a man have that he thinks because she got married, now her life changes and everything changes? And that one woman in the back who said, no, she's going to change, that would still be the decision of the woman, what changes she's willing to make. Anticipation is that Black men would have the conversation with Black men on what happens when Black men get married. Not for us to be bickering and bantering about what the Black women and their cohorts were talking about, and their allies and their not so friendly allies are talking about in their locker room. It's talking about what do Black men address when Black men are talking about that bullshit in the Black men's locker room, proverbially. Let's see what Kanye should have never married that bitch, produced by EP Irvin Pope, has to deliver on this gender war concept and marriage. Oh yeah, we need all the imagery. We need all the imagery. This nigga look like he getting married at a backyard bar strip club. Niggas got glow lights and everything. Y'all needed this commentary, and we need the ability to do this. And just because the white man can take this video down for me doing this, I don't give a fuck, nigga. Fuck him. That nigga's being sued by the federal government. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. He got bigger issues than whether or not his moderators agree or disagree on whether or not this is education and fair use. Fuck them. My rights could be trampled for less, nigga. Them stopping my First Amendment rights never stopped me from exercising my Second Amendment rights. My logic said First Amendment rights and then Second Amendment rights. And if you niggas don't got the right to your own mind when you post on Facebook and how you monetize your thoughts on YouTube, then nigga stop talking to me about exercising dominion in America. Build your school, nigga. This nigga said a history museum for hidden history, and he wants hidden history in a museum. This nigga want to put motherfucking trinkets that he found in a Pan-African barbershop, nigga, inside of a museum on a corner store in goddamn Los Angeles and call that fighting back. Nigga, that's fighting back, Tariq. Nigga, your documentary was the gayest shit I've ever seen in my life. I would rather see a nigga marry a stripper and laugh at it than see that documentary again. And I can never undo it. And all the money that the black community paid you for was the equivalent of the $5 that they were paying Marcus Garvey. Nigga, it was some bullshit. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey conceptual framework, as I would break it down, looks a little bit like this video. Hold on, O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm gonna do what they told me and what you told me. If I want to be successful in this space, then I shouldn't do this. I'm finna do exactly the opposite of that shit, because I don't go along to get along, and that's why white people hate me. But they supposed to fucking hate me. They've always hated me. Now, I might be different if I don't accept that Pan-African paradigm when I think black people have work to do. But when I see black people doing the work and black people then also praising Akon for taking nigga.
Anybody who objects to us winning should speak now or forever hold their peace.
Hell nah, nigga, this nigga finna get married and shit, man, if they don't leave it alone. Did y'all see how that West Coast NorCal shit came in, man? Some people bought all of them documentaries about hidden history, and if you look at some of those documentaries about hidden history, the one thing that I won't do is take away some of the merch that he put in there. Some of those receipts were exact and on point. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but in the totality of the broken buck, nigga, I will never endorse no bullshit like that. Y'all got me fucked up.
First you're dealing with a true West Side Californian. Rest in peace, DMX, here we go again. If your body...
Why is that love from the West to the East still supposed to be a rich concept that passes time and passes geography and space? Why? Because that's what prevents the First Amendment, me talking shit, from escalating into conflict with niggas from Philadelphia. And that was supposed to be the message of unity and love that resolved the conflicts in Philadelphia and Baltimore and DC and in places like Chicago. But unfortunately, once that drill music hit them and niggas stopped dancing and niggas stopped laughing and teeing, and the shit did escalate to the Second Amendment, right? Yeah, we needed somebody that could be a real West Coast nigga to say, nigga, knuckle up every once in a while, nigga. Put that Second Amendment shit down. If you talking shit and you in a space where niggas is talking shit and it leads to anything, it might lead to a fist fight. But if it leads to the Second Amendment, then now you got to talk to that nigga Ron, nigga.
Fake don't get a husband and a diamond, just dick in the cubic zirconian.
Yeah, except but that nigga is not an incel, so they probably won't fuck with Ron either, which is why he probably related at first to B1 niggas. Like a cubic zirconian nigga, my wife would not have a ring on her hand before I have to settle for buying her a cubic zirconia. Nigga, if I had to buy my wife a cubic zirconia, I felt embarrassed and I felt under. Nigga, that was real struggle love, nigga. If you could only afford a cubic zirconia and she's willing to accept that as a symbol of marriage and fidelity, then shout out to you, nigga. But there is a motherfucking bishop with a motherfucking chronic leaf suit jacket on who's finna ordain this marriage between this black man and this white bitch. And if it wasn't for our conversations that took Facebook conversations and posts into YouTube, this shit would have just been missed. Hold on. Y'all don't see this nigga finna marry this big ass usurper right here? Ain't that supposed to be the usurper? Ain't that supposed to be the colonialist? Ain't that the reason why the colonization was the problem in the first place? Now you running to places like Africa, or you're running to places that had also been colonized, but you finna marry it? Ain't that the concept now?
This how I lay crack. I gotta pay you today.
Big ass L. Did you see him flip that L up and then throw that A down like that from LA to Atlanta? What happened when you moved the conversation from the gangsters in LA to Atlanta? Well, once you get past the fact that Atlanta was one of the homes of the LGBTQ community, ally city, with not hundreds but thousands districts, nigga, parish my ass, nigga. This ain't Louisiana parish. When we say parish, AIDS epidemic, the CDC sits right there in Atlanta. So fuck you mean? Oh yeah, the conversation can get a little too deep, because once you start saying Atlanta, isn't that the same place where the manosphere met up? Oops. And isn't that the same place where this motherfucker Umar Johnson, or whoever it is, Tariq Rashid, is a proud panelist on The Revolt for P. Diddy, as they talk about it as a form of revolt with high-end celebrities? Oh, y'all didn't know that was going on today? My bad. Hold on.
That's where the game at.
That's where the game's at? That y'all don't think that the game has been elevated to some LGBTQ ally shit? It's no longer about the black man or the black woman? Nigga, hold on. This shit is about the transatlantic slave trade, ain't it? Because if she asked Umar Johnson on Fox Soul about slavery, and she's specifically referring to the slavery where the woman was higher valued, and she's saying the Arab slave trade, and he says the transatlantic, somebody would have said, wait, nah, dog, you're not giving, you're off topic. But if you're not intellectual, then you just miss that shit, I guess.
You know what? I ain't tripping.
I ain't tripping. Fuck that nigga. Umar Johnson is just a dummy. Just because he got educated and it didn't make that nigga smart, and just because the nigga thinks that he should have access to all type of multicultural women, don't let that shit fool you. That nigga belongs in this video. Look at it. There's a fat nigga with a number 51 in the back. It might as well have been Umar Johnson. I'm gonna let your eyes take time to find it, because that nigga's throwing something up in the back. You see that fat ass, fake, fat Jamaican looking ass nigga? Hold on.
I got some cake stack.
I got some cake stack, nigga. That's what a Pookie would have flexed on his dog ass. Y'all don't want these reviews. Y'all don't want real social media reviews where we break down this conversation using this media and hip hop music. No, because they'll ban that. The white man will ban it. I don't give a fuck if he ban it.
I was trying to get to know you, but if
I was trying to get to know you, but what? Hold on.
you a prostitute, bitch, say that. I say
Hold on. Is that why the trifecta of womanhood was broken when it came to who gonna check us, boo? Because there was too much realism in that. If you're a prostitute, just say that.
you get naked for a grand, why bother? To take you to dinner, your OnlyFans not die.
Dinner dates from Obsidian. Now, who was preaching that message? Nigga, hold on. And you hear me saying hold on, because whenever Sin G actually gets to drilling, I'll be like, please don't call in goofy ass niggas. That's me with my cape. Whenever she says hold on, my cape starts rolling out. Whenever she says hold on, my cape starts rolling out. Whenever Sin G really get to going in, when she starts saying castrated, neutered, dusty beta male, and somebody else says dusty and gets ridiculed for it, and y'all don't see the correlation, I'll be like, damn, get they ass, little sis. But every time she says hold on, nigga, I'll be like, fuck, somebody's finna call in.
Trying to clown a nigga that couldn't afford to book your flight. Ain't that a
right? Trying to clown a nigga that couldn't afford to book the flight. Nigga, fuck wrong with these goofy ass niggas. I'm doing my Sunday rumbles at the airport. Why the fuck would I keep arguing with these goofy ass niggas?
You and yourself don't even look alike. Yeah.
You and yourself. Save yourself. They done separated yourself as one word. Now yourself, now it's, man, this whole dichotomy is twisted.
Yes, you're a hoe. You belong to the street. That's why you
Another Future fan. You belong to the streets.
subbing who you fucking with Justin LeBoy.
That's why you subbing who you fucking with Justin LeBoy tweets. I guess he's mad at divestors and swirlers too, but nigga, hold on.
Yes, you a hoe. You belong to the street. That's why you subbing who you fucking with Justin LeBoy tweets.
They got some game fucking.
Woo, shit. shit. Now I got to hold on. I gotta let this nigga do his whole motherfucking verse, nigga. And this shit is what the irony is because they're like, y'all mad at Simple P's in this space when he is having conversations on adult levels because Sin has a record, but Sin for the P is accepted and Sin and her sinners are not. Which is why you can have a pimp with the Bible in his hand and y'all niggas still won't put hold on in the motherfucking chat. Nigga, hold on. The pimp with the Bible in his hand. Sinful of P is accepted in a space, but not Sin and the sinners. Because Sin and the sinners has a conversation that says if black men want to marry the white bitch, tell them no deuces. Nigga, hold the fuck on. If you don't see the imagery, then fuck it, let the music do it, but they'll ban me for saying this is what it is. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying the shit's not revolutionary, and I'm just gonna tell you, let this
Take a piece. A cough leaves your mouth at 60 miles per hour. Bitch, get the fuck away from me. And what the fuck I look like calling a bitch boo? An average, ordinary motherfucker like you. I came to save you from you. She for show house. She pulled up on me in roller skates, sending yo-yo. Sugar free to Peter. Bitch, exercise makes you look better naked, and so does tequila. Look at the bitch stopping traffic like a red light. This is what she do and what she does, nigga. And this shit suits you. I don't care about your past hoe. I care about your motherfucking future. What? Church, nigga. Sugar free to P. I'll pimp on the bitch till he go up. Yeah, pimp on glasses. She belong to the street. Whip rock. Tell her that. Church, nigga free.
That bitch belongs to the streets.
Yeah, bitch, better sell that thing, don't come fucking with me, though.
That bitch belongs to the streets.
See, now, before you start looking at Brother Moses and saying, Brother Moses, we're not supposed to promote this type of shit, I'm going to tell you that I didn't, but I will also tell you that having personally met some of these niggas, these is married men. Now, I don't know about Sugar Free, but that motherfucking verse is bars. I tell you, I had to listen to a whole nother song. You know a nigga done gassed when you have to go back like, God damn it, that nigga reminded me of him, nigga. Because I love Sugar Free, fuck you mean, and I have the hate-love relationship. Because if we can't protect grown women gonna do what they do. I can understand it. I can conceptually frame it to where it's like, damn, I wish that black women didn't. But when it comes to policy and politics and power, yeah, nigga, who thought that they could lay down the law harder than the black church? And when the black church realized that they couldn't lay down the law, who were the first ones to actually leave the black church? Nigga, I'll wait. When the black church could not lay down the law, gender-wise, who left the black church first? Yeah, nigga. So what happened? They were the most vulnerable even in the church. But I wanted to point out that even here on this slapper of why Kanye should have never married, when you look at it, the most replayed part, not according to B1 Brother Moses, but according to the analytics, the most replayed part is Sugar. Nigga, y'all better leave me alone in this space. I'm just the intellectual. I was trying not to body bag these niggas. I said, burn the cake. If these niggas want to leave, chuck them the deuce. Because it's not us telling you this shit. We can't control it. I'm just giving you the content at this point. But yeah, I had to hear that motherfucking bar twice. I agree with everybody who listened. You heard the first verse yourself. You've heard Sugar T's verse as it leads to the hook. We see the conceptual framework, how they're making Future a god. Because Future gets all of this shit for free. And ain't that what they mad at? Isn't that why they get dating coaches and life coaches? Ain't that the truth? And because black women made it a point that said, nah, you're going to bring something to the table, they praised Kevin Samuels because Kevin Samuels was instrumental in one thing. He was instrumental in getting them to quantify and objectify themselves, black women, that is. The argument was black men wanted to say, black woman, you aren't all that. And so by black women calling in and validating it and rating themselves according to what they think the black man would like, which is so ironic that an LGBTQ man telling black women what high value man, if y'all don't cut it out. And it was a hook, line, and sinker. Man, hold on, man. Let me let them. I said I wasn't even gonna do this, and I'm 10 minutes over, but shit, and they gonna strike it. So now I'm out for real. Y'all rock out with this one.
First you're dealing with a true West Side Californian. Rest in peace, DMX, here we go again. If your body fake, you don't get a husband and a diamond. Just dick in a cubic zirconian. This how LA crack. I gotta pay you to date you, that's where the game at. You know what, I ain't tripping, I got some cake stacked. I was trying to get to know you, but if you a prostitute, bitch, say that. I see you get naked for a grand, why bother? To take you to dinner, your OnlyFans $9. Trying to clown a nigga that couldn't afford to book your flight. You and yourself don't even look alike. Yes, you a hoe, you belong to the street. That's why you subbing who you fucking with just till the boy tweet. Yes, you a hoe, you belong to the street. That's why you subbing who you fucking with just till the boy tweet.
They go from game, tuck and take a piece. A cough leaves your mouth at 60 miles per hour. Bitch, get the fuck away from me. And what the fuck I look like calling a bitch boo? I average, ordinary motherfucker like you. Let me save you from you. She for show out. She pulled up on me in roller skates, silly. Sugar free to Peter. Bitch, exercise makes you look better naked, and so does the kid. Look at the bitch stopping traffic like a red light. This is what she do and what she does, nigga. Air now. And this shit suits you. I don't care about your past, ho. I care about your motherfucking future. What? Church, nigga. Sugar free to pee. I'll pimp on a bitch, chili coke up. Yeah, pimp on glasses. She belong to the street. Whip crack. Tap on that. Church, nigga, free.
That bitch belongs, that
He
bitch
said the
belongs
whip cracker. Tell
to
him.
the streets.
Yeah, bitch, better sell that thing. Don't come fucking with me, though.
That bitch belongs, that bitch belongs to the streets.
Yeah, bitch, call yourself, come fucking with me. You gon' sell that thing.
Now this is one of them occasions where the homie not doing it right. I see you found you a hoe that you lie. But you can't make a hoe a housewife. And when it all boils down, you gon' learn in the end. Keeping that bitch, I had your ass locked in the pen. Cause some judge that handed you lie. Bro, you can't make a hoe a housewife. And I can tell you little niggas from the spirit. Don't do it, bro. Play black pill. I had one. Tried to get serious. Thought I was a little hoe. Hands at the pit.
Did he say? Hold on.
Tried to get serious. Thought I was a little hoe. Hands at the pit. Shit. Future looking clear. Shit. Talking matrimony. Had to thank God when I ran into the homies. Learned the whole hood hit. Bitches ain't shit. Out my fault. Oh, you gotta get. So split.
Oh shit, they didn't say the mag for last. I'd rather die
Whoa,
for it.
hell
Make a hoe a housewife. And when it all boils down, you gon' learn in the end. Keeping that bitch, I had your ass locked in the pen. Cause some judge that handed you lie. Bro, you can't make a hoe a housewife. And I can tell you little niggas from the spirit. Don't do it, bro. Point blank pill. I had one. Tried to get serious. Thought I was a little hoe. Hands at the pit. Shit. Future looking clear. Shit. Talking matrimony. Had to thank God when I ran into the homies. Learned the whole hood hit. Bitches ain't shit. Out my fault. Oh, you gotta get. So split.
Oh shit, they didn't say the mag for last. I'd rather die before I give a punk bitch a pass. Yeah, I'm hard on them, Joe. That's what hoes need. Sleeping on the smack and post a fake ass woke beans. Yeah, fuck your mama and your sister, bitch. Yeah, I said it while you asking when I text the bitch. Oh, you ready? You ain't ready for the deuce. Oh, you scared of the truth. And you been fucking with your face. Now I'm scared of you. Oh, you thought cutting on yourself was gonna amp something. I just spent 80 on the Chevy trying to whack something. Bitch told me she ain't worried about none of that. Homie got 40 on something trying to run. Man, I know you ain't acting like you hoes worth a little more. I done seen you do a whole lot for a little blow. Try to keep it gangster, but you bitches belong to the street. And over here, GHP, yeah, we playing for keeps. Hey. That bitch belongs, that bitch belongs to the streets.
Hey, that's the thing. That's their answer. Whether they know
That
it or
bitch
not.
belongs, that bitch belongs
Goofy ass niggas.
to the streets. Oh, yeah. That bitch belongs, that bitch belongs to the streets. That bitch belongs, that bitch belongs to the streets. Oh, yeah.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
Hell no. Oh yeah, they gonna ban that replay. They gonna ban that replay. Yeah. You can forget about that replay. Like they say, it is what it is. They gonna ban that replay. They definitely gonna ban that shit. Damn, 1 hour and 15 minutes. You say you finna come back. I can drop the link. Who's still with me? Oh, we got Black Beauty in the chat. Hey, salute. Empress, Kaya, yeah, they was in a church. And y'all might as well talk about it now because we got a whole new one more person said, damn, you late. Here, I'm going to do it just in case. I'm going to give myself a reason to stay longer because, of course, if they're going to ban it anyways, I might as well say what the hell I got to say. So that was part one. I told you there was going to be a double header. In my mind, I was going to shut this down and get to the next one. But we are in the buildup because we got conversations that's ready to happen a little bit later. Set your notification reminder. For, let me see, what was it? There we go. Here we go right here. So I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do it live and in real time just to make sure that we get it and it's not just me being fly like that. This one right here. Bang. You got 66 minutes live. And the conversation, we will make a better future for our kids. Marriage Club of Washington, D.C. naturally wants freedom now. My home is desegregated. This conversation, I promise you, I can show you music videos. We have the conversation from so many different lenses and views that you already know what's good. You already know what's going on. You know, I attribute my little 2 cents to the conversation using things such as history and facts. And I want the conversation to actually evolve, but every once in a while we go through these retrogrades. Oh yeah, I don't get when I get notifications now, it'd be like that. Like I got the notification then. If I set the notification when she goes live, it'll be like 30 minutes after she done went live when I'll finally get the notification. So, I mean, I think it is like some settings, like depending on what I'm doing with like my phone or at the time, it cuts off like different notifications. So like now I don't expect to get notifications while I'm live. But yeah, and when I say root the conversations in actual fact, I go and get the real receipts. There was a time period where the Trail of Tears and where people like to talk about Nat Turner's rebellion. And I say those niggas are dumb. Because if you're going to have the conversation about revolution or gender war, I don't need us to take ourselves out of the conversation. I like to be exact to the point of, are you even talking about Black people? Because there are in our space Black people who think they're talking about Black people in America, but they're still talking about the African American or the diasporic experience, even when we get to 1830, right? And with that, Black, Indian, if you're still from the lens of America, not diaspora. As of 1830, America has already established itself as a country based in revolution or revolt against Britain. And so at that point, this is the 5th time they've taken a toll or taken their numbers where they went throughout wherever it was their territorial spaces. And we've only gotten to the part of them establishing their framework for how do you determine who is important in your society. Many people can only have the conversation from the lens of slaves being 3/5. But they'll use the census data, the census, population data, the census. And so I'm walking them down on the importance of even using the census, since we want to root it in a fact-based conversation that deals neither with European pathology or Black pathology. And I say the best way that we walk them down is using these types of receipts. 1830 is like one of those only other lanes where I see the opportunity to really go in, because again, if you want to talk about the Civil War, I can give you 1862. I won't go into the conversations because there's many who are not ready for the Second Amendment. Once Black men did have guns and having a conversation openly and freely, recreating for society the attitude or the pathology of armed Black men. I think the conversation is good right now. The in fact movement is not my business. If you want their side, or you want to move towards more radicalized where the Second Amendment is where you're at, then there are even Black women who can help associate yourself with who's legitimate and who's not legitimate. But what you'll experience even there is that every sector goes through, wait. I thought they were, but they're not. I thought this person was, but they're not. To the same extent here, where vetting Black men, if that's your preference or in whatever space, you'll get some pushback. Whether you go to Michi X at the Second Amendment and your team is now ready to move strong towards Second Amendment, or you're still in the First. I've always thought that the B1 network did an exceptional job at trying to maintain the first. And even though they were able to have associations or do collaborations with people from other networks, including associations and collaborations with people who completely disagree. I've seen white people. They brought on some white Brad. They brought on some white Mexican. And I don't give a shit about none of that. Because to me, I heard and I still know where the message is. And all of the entertainment elements are still reiterating this same conceptual framework of this gender war. I think that men having a conversation with men is important, which is why earlier I played when the Black woman responded to Cynthia G using the gender war Fox Soul video. I didn't play the Black woman's response. For the Black women, you can listen to the Black woman's response. Bud Crawford is fighting for, I said Brad Crawford, excuse me. Bud Crawford is fighting for or we hope, I guess now we're back on a hope train as boxers. This shit is so crazy. Anyway, the best fight that can be made in boxing today between Black men is between Bud Crawford, his name is Terrence, he's from Omaha, Nebraska, and Earl Spence Jr., who's based on the diaspora of Jamaican descent, but raised in Texas. And so on an ideal Black men have the conversation from this lens of race, not gender. What we found is in Black YouTuber, as the information has been moved from like Facebook or like posts, what people write, or what people think or what people write, to actually what they're saying, so to YouTube, now it is predominantly gender. And it's blaming the Black woman. But I thought the fight was always between men. And so for me, I didn't play the part where the channel host, who also has all of her degrees, Dr. Ma'at, in social and psychology, that's the House of Consciousness representation. She supports Dr. Umar, who would have been the Black male who has the social and whatever education in psychology. I, on the other hand, I support Cynthia G, who has the education in the same social and psychology. And all of these groups, what I don't support, I support O'Shea Duke Jackson. That's my homeboy. That's his platform. He has the First Amendment rights. But of course, they should have said Moses ain't cool. Of course, his audience would not have liked me. The Manosphere, there is no supporting the Manosphere or their philosophy or their tenets unless you can see them as a part of this broader conversation, whether or not Black men are being held accountable or holding themselves accountable or should, and what accountability looks like. So for me, it was important not to throw Dr. Oyo Ma'at under the bus by playing the things where, oh, she mammying it up. Because we already expect somebody who supports the House of Consciousness, Sarnetta TV, as a woman, to mammy it up. You wouldn't know that unless you know that we push back against the HOK. And when you hear the song and he's like all that fake woke shit, that's why that matters, because most of those same people would have called the Mac the Pookie and Ray Ray. I wouldn't disagree. Max would definitely be, I agree that you should know the difference for yourself. When it's real and it's plain as day. We laughed at incels, we laughed at Sisbum, we laughed at MGTOW, we laughed at those dudes, but they have established themselves as a physical presence, not just on Facebook, not just now on microphones, but when the Black femicide rate was being reported to start to increase, it was the news that was reporting it. And the only other argument from the B1 space that would be unresolved then, not do you still support the Manosphere, knowing that that's their philosophy, those are their tenets. Kevin Samuels was the representation or the public the black face of the Sisbum. Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed are offshoots of the Black Church or the HOK, House of Consciousness, as they are, in their own representation, one being FBA, other being psychology. Dr. Ma'at is the woman representation, unless you like who is the HOK? I think his wife, Nepal. Damn, if that's the case. But likewise, what you will notice is that Cynthia G, Nyla Says, and our Irene, I say our possessively, and fuck y'all. I know I could do that more correctly if I thought it all the way through and presented it how it should be presented possessively. Irene, though I am in no place to possess Irene. Just like I'm in no place to possess Nyla Says or Taz Exclusives or their narrative, or I'm in no place to possess the entire B1 network family as a possessive thing. I'm not the spokesman and representative for the Black people or of Morehouse College, the heterosexual community, or of a married man. All of those things matter to me, so here's my perspective again. Now here, 1861 to 1865 is where they like to go. When I go here, I go to the legislative agenda. And that's boring, which is why a lot of people didn't listen to B1 Brother Moses, even when I was doing it. Like, what do Black men actually talk about? If you listen to some of my old content, you'll be like, yeah, that shit is boring. But it's the truth. I deliver on facts. I'm not good at this gender war. I don't like these hit-you-gotcha games. And I'm one of them people who took the shit personally. I take it personally, love. And what the problem is, if I take it personally, I can catch a flight. And I am the veteran. And I conflating the issue, if I perceive the person to be a threat, now it's a domestic terrorist that even the FBI is doing. But I don't need the FBI to tell me, as somebody who's trained under the same levels of training or whatever it is, when the domestic threat or how to resolve a domestic threat. You never needed the Italians to come inside of your community until that threat was unresolvable by the Black men inside of your own households and your own streets, or however you made them, your own dirt roads. You didn't need Irish to come inside of your communities and tell you how to resolve your issues of violence or domestic violence or the issues inside of the Black communities until the violence inside of the Black communities was unable to be resolved by the Black men inside of the Black communities. You did not need whatever other immigrant group that they like to thrust into the conversation as a freaking deflection from answering the question about what did Black men do to fight back against the Black pathology. If Dr. Umar Johnson is the one who's educated in the Black male pathology and psychology, all the way down to saying, well, the prisoner pipeline impacts the third grade in the education, to the point he wanted to build a school that he can't build because he doesn't want to unite with the Black men, but his sermon is, let's unite with Black men. And so we show them Black men, here they go, cis boom, they believe in the same fucking tenets that you do. Bitch ass nigga, you fat fucking fake Jamaican. They believe in the same exact tenets. And let's keep the shit First Amendment so it doesn't have to get to the second. You got people that love you. I got people that love me. I believe in real, authentic, monogamous marriage. You believe in this fake, symbolic, spiritual marriage. You believe that our people, it's more important that we connect with some Oyo and some slave shit. I believe it's more important that we connect with the people who are living and with us right now. You would call the Black trans woman queen. I would call Cynthia G Black queen. Now, nigga, a man has an issue. Say something, goofy. I still think the fat nigga is goofy with a koofy. I still think the fat nigga is goofy with a unk. I think the nigga is goofy if he puts on beads. I think the nigga is goofy if he praises the Italian and he has a mother. I believe he's goofy if he's a nigga with a swastika. I don't give a fuck what he hides under, or whose culture he likes to root his argument of cowardice under. Right. Which is why I try to tee my way through it and laugh. See, I put the cape on when Sinji starts saying, hold on. I put the cape in because when she start going hard, I'm still a Black man. I'll be like, fuck. And I'll be like, I swear to God, these niggas better not call in. Because it is the irrefutable. It's irrefutable. If a Black man calls into a Black woman's channel while she is drilling the fuck out of a Black man, that either that nigga wants to be drilled or he is participating in the same degenerate behavior. Oh, shit. See, I be getting hot, which is why I don't like to give them all that fucking energy like that. Because I'll say that shit in their face. Like I go to the barber shop and I'll say the same thing. Niggas don't typically take it to Second Amendment rights. And Arizona is an open carry state. That resolves a lot of this conflict with these niggas in fear for their lives. If you need to save yourself as a black man, and the actual war that you're talking about is the arming of white men or other groups of men, then now you're talking Second Amendment rights. You're not talking about, well, I built a school, which is why he wanted to deflect about what black women are building. Yeah, nigga, because if your issue is so severe that it requires your physical protection, and you would rather say, no, man, that black woman doesn't deserve my protection, it is a Second Amendment issue, bitch ass nigga, which is why we call it cowardice. And when it comes to the role, the schoolhouse, the black woman is the educator. And what do you want to do, Dr. Umar Johnson? You want to build a school. And when I ask you about it, do you think it's going to be like a military academy? No, because you goofy as fuck. Even if it was, it'd put you on the list with your manosphere niggas. And the FBI is already looking at niggas like, is y'all actually training? It'll make you even more radical. No, you're not like Frederick Douglass recruiting his own sons to fight in the 1863 war. You're not like the first part of your own school in your conflict. You don't want to teach young boys to fight back with the Second Amendment rights. You want to hijack the school as a place of protection for black boys. You see how I try to lean into the mic when I said that shit? You want to hijack the school as a place of protection for black boys. And you failed to create a single working model in 10 years of something that has been being done since 1861 as the black solution. The church, protected space. The school, protected space. Or it was supposed to be, or you're not crying about them burning down Wall Street again, are you? If it's not supposed to be a protected space, then you're not crying about them burning it down then if it's war, right? And if you acknowledge that the war is with these Italians who the federal government is complicit for empowering, see, yeah, because it makes you look goofy when I say we're not ready for the 1861 conversation when that Chicago white boy, oh, not the Chicago African Senator Barack Obama, 100 plus years later, not the Chicago African Ghanaian Africa diaspora nigga, President Obama. No, the other one, when the tall white boy armed black people to fight their own battle. Yeah, I don't think we're ready to have that conversation. There's not much glory Morgan Freeman wants to talk about when it comes to racism and war. And so they like to water that narrative down with the Bible and Nat Turner's rebellion and being submissive to the Bible, as if the missionary society wasn't the equivalent of the merchant and trade slave trading society. There was this on a different side of the coin, whether you were in the missionary society or the merchant society, colonization society. Somebody tell me I'm lying. See, that's what happens. Them same 999 goofy niggas don't want this debate. He wanted to use the transatlantic slave trade. I'm saying, nigga, let's do it. Stupid, goofy, bitch ass nigga, because it was that same reason when people started having a conversation from the victim narrative of war being intelligent in the first place. Your military intelligence is where you niggas was lacking, which is why you wanted a safe space to train, which is why you won't make a military style academy like Frederick Douglass for his own sons up in Boston, Massachusetts. You just say the white man, the white man. Yeah. And Cynthia G will tell you that, well, Frederick Douglass had a black wife. What did he need the white woman for? Oops, because those are body bags. and body shots from a fat fucking fake Jamaican who praises the fuck out of him. Yeah, those would be real intimate body bags. When Frederick Douglass, who had a black woman, decides he wants to marry a white woman, that would be a body bag to the black man today who think he want to debate with Cynthia G because his biggest concern is, well, black women not marrying black men. Nigga, the school you want to name is being named after a black man who had a black woman who married a white woman. And you don't want it to be a military academy, but that same man signed his sons up, you bitch ass nigga, you. But the second half of that conversation, if you don't see the plot twist, is Marcus Garvey. He names it Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey being the system connection for the slowness and the duality that says, well, if we're not going to be accepted in America, then we should just go back to Africa. The Africa. And they say that's a white man's argument, but no, that's a bitch ass nigga's argument, unless he is an African, unless he is an indigenous Jamaican. Then that's his right to want to go to fuck home. It's just been about 170 something years. Well, I don't know his DNA, his ancestry.com, his whatever it is, his oral tradition if you listen to him, his oral tradition links him back to Americans, to Frederick Douglass and Bailey and the different slave owners, and all of this fucking narrative is what you're saying be proud of, while at the same time, oh no, I don't like those black women. The natural black woman on the panel is the one that you threw under the bus. The one that was a trans black woman is the one that you praised. Oh, I see why the plot twist makes sense, because you are a Pan-Africanist and you only worship the transatlantic slave trade as knowledge and what the white men benefited off of it. Because when we ask you, what did you do to fight back? And we model that to your life, you failed to create a safe space because you tried to hijack the woman's initiative of building a school for children. You bitch ass nigga. And the other motherfucker said, well, I'll just build a museum where I could put some of these African knickknacks in it and white people will pay me because it's right here in Los Angeles. And that's how they gonna fight back. Somebody said a goofy with a koofy. Yeah, nigga, they be having all that motherfucking knowledge. And once you smack that koofy off their head and they stop crying, and your parents have to have the conversation around why that isn't nice, and then they do start talking, it still be bullshit. I'll be like, I don't want to hear that shit. You motherfuckers is annoying at best. I would only be hook, line, and sinker a bitch ass nigga again if knowing that they are going to copyright strike my video because I shared the most critical part. Black people do relate to the oral tradition, the music, those characters that were inside of that video, the video being shot inside of a church, the pimp being the one who grabs the Bible to actually ordain them in their marriage, the chronic leaf suit jacket from the West Coast, the rebutting the argument about marrying a hoe, all of these different symbolisms put inside of one. And to mistake whether or not that dude said Paris Milan with glasses Milan, all of that should start telling you that these interconnected stories aren't going anywhere. My name is B1 Brother Moses. This is just my contribution to it. I can give you the intellectual argument, but the men that they worship, you'd be like, God damn, is that it? I can see why motherfuckers hate Taz. That motherfucker went to the HOK and bodied them niggas. I went to the HOK and I drank some of the Kool-Aid. Like, oh shit, they believe in the ancestors. They got so many different working components of the house of consciousness. They got Hebrew Israelites, which are dealing with racial identity from a theological lens, using the 12 tribes to say that we are black, that the evils in this world do exist. One of their system or tenets is that they believe in multiple relationships, or a man is entitled to have multiple wives, and that man then is now chosen by God and has the responsibility. Whether I believe in it or not, The information was available. Then they got information about these Moorish niggas who think that they can use the American political system and the way of writ, or what is being written down, to take history from the past and say, because that history is written down in this way, I'm going to use that same language to create my own current document and thus certify myself. And they're spreading that message, and that's a part of the HOK. Whether I agree with that shit or not, sovereignty or whatnot, the information was available. You can't then say sovereignty doesn't work then, because you know also a part of the HOK umbrella would have been that Aboriginal argument, or those people who go from Aboriginal to Native American to Indian, and they're still trying to discern within their own ranks who's who is the $5 Indian, and when did you become such? And because you've now started to identify as such, what does that really mean? Can you document it? Does your history or legacy go back and verify the same? So all of these different working, give me about 10 minutes, baby. All of these different working elements and doctrines and ideologies and philosophies, we used to laugh at when O'Shea Duke Jackson, who associated himself that Sa Neter was like a founder of what they did. He was, Sa Neter in the House of Consciousness introduced a working model of providing very niche-based information on YouTube for Black people. Right? See, whoever is my op, they got to be as good as me at the very minimum. Nobody wants weak ops. So if you downplay the role or the integral role or whatever the actual victories or accomplishments of your op are, then it only makes you serve. Well, you didn't have any real opposition to overcome. So once we've been able to move this conversation away from it just being Cynthia G and those women who don't like Black men, once we're able to do so, and again, I gotta go backwards, by only for situating it in one, these were the attacks of Black men as the Black men tried to shed themselves of the onus of Black masculinity, of Black responsibility, of marriage, of their own gender even, of their own role. And military-wise, the military didn't have to fire a single shot if we're only talking First Amendment and the ideology itself. All right, so good. I think I've laid a good solid framework. I'm finna go watch some football, do what a nigga does, man. Shit, my wife got me tickets to a football game. So y'all cut it out, man. These dudes be tripping. What are some of the benefits of marriage? What do you love about your wife? They don't want to know these questions. They don't want to know what the real is, but this parody or this music video is more than just a parody, as it captures all of the concepts. And I know we got different places to do. I'm gonna give y'all 40 minutes back in your time. Like I'm on the clock right now. I got 3 minutes. I'm gonna keep my little 3 minutes. I told you I could do this by myself for hours. And whether it's one person or many that listen, this deals with the Treaty of 1866, which would be 30 years later. A lot of the Aboriginal or Indian or Native American people, when they start trying to merge and get receipts and documents, whether you do it through Ancestry.com and you start getting those leafs, this is the storyline that they're establishing. We go against the HOK because they're guiding people to look for Cairo and Egypt and Kemet and the year 0 and the year 1750 before Black Jesus and the Christian church and all of that shit. And while we're telling you that colonization and missionary work were just two sides of the same coin, which is what drove people out of the church in the first place, colonization and missionary work were two sides of the same coin. Once you become more intellectualized, these are the facts and receipts that you're going to be looking for. The Treaty of 1866. Now I can click on the link again. It's what I talk about in the separation on who's who and separated by what's important. Genealogy-wise, on that, he's an Aboriginal, which is what Jabari tried to use as a deflection during that debate with Taz. To say then, can you establish through blood quantum laws who your people are? But the only reason dumbass Jabari would say that is because he doesn't think that Taz's grandmother is already in the Library of Congress. We don't need the blood quantum laws. You're talking about somebody else. dumbass motherfucker. And the reason why you're dumb is because you want people to believe in this Egypt and this Nubia and this Nile Valley shit instead of their own grandmothers and the history being here with us. So you want Dawes rolls, which is blood quantum laws. Don't talk blood quantum laws if you're not ready to talk about gender or breeding or Virginia, loving v. Virginia. Because that blood quantum law, if we started going back to those numbers, a lot of these niggas definitely ain't gonna make it. If you're not black, you're not in this conversation. This conversation was for us, black men and black women. Fat ass Dr. Faking Jamaican Umar Johnson wants to side with the ability to say, I don't have to be black. I can be African, and I can turn those on and off as I please. That is his prerogative. Stay the fuck over there. When he wants to join spaces where we're discussing black shit, he should come and have that conversation with black men. Similar to where Taz took the conversation where black men should have been having it to the House of Consciousness. Similar to where B1 Brother Moses and Taz, George May, other folks took the conversation to the manosphere. Similar to at this time, nigga, Cynthia Jeton took the conversation to him so many times, they're not supposed to like her. But when the black woman who is educated or supposedly educated in the same type of system then turns on Cynthia G to side with the black man who is essentially saying black men are defeated as an example of saying black men aren't defeated, nigga, that's not just a plot twist. That's, nigga, that's that bullshit. P1 Brother Moses, that's all I got. And I'm out. The U.S. government for the resettlement of 10,000 Kansas Indians. See, them facts like that, you're like 10,000, that's a year, that's a date. 10,000, that's a person. Nigga, if you're not one of them, nigga, the government then was not complying. Y'all think reparations is for everything and for everyone. No, nigga, fuck y'all. Nigga, you may have a claim, nigga, but it's going to be up to you. And in this era, Cynthia G and black women, and there's some black men, I ain't going to lie, they have an actual claim against motherfuckers like Mark Zuckerberg, O'Shea Duke Jackson, because collective collusion or the ability to turn off who gets a notification, that's the legislation that's currently being determined right now. Because if they can turn off who gets access to your friends list, when your video is shared, why is it shared, then they're the ones tapering down your money. And these are monetized channels that can show you. And they can show you every time they were disrupted what their dollar value was in AdSense. But by turning off channels like Cynthia G or O'Shea Duke Jackson, they were essentially discriminating against those small publishers. And let these goofy ass niggas talk about reparations from every other lens. But what we've experienced in our lifetime would say we should be supportive of Cynthia G. And now let the niggas say they should support O'Shea whether they like it or not. But political, systemic issues, man, tell these grown-ass crybabies to shut the fuck up. B1 Brother Moses got real facts, real knowledge. I deliver that shit. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification. I'm going to be here all day. These are the plot twists that we go through, man, and I'm delivering on the plot twist right now. I'll be done. I don't even like doing this shit. First of all, I felt dumb. I felt like when my wife walked in, like I felt like she caught a 13-year-old watching porn or something. I was like, what the hell am I doing right here? I'm sitting there looking at the damn screen and got the image because I'm trying to take the image of Cynthia G and make it a thumbnail. And I'm like, do you put the, you look at what other YouTubers are doing. They'll take people's image and they'll put the image inside and then they'll put the title with that person's name on it. Or they'll take somebody's image, a real person, and they'll use it with or without permission. And that's against the law. That's criminal. That's almost Pookie and Ray Ray. You can't just take somebody's image, do a cutout, and then put it on there unless your rights are protected. But those are the First Amendment rights that have to be protected. And so for the Nevermore, they'll go beyond just taking the image of Cynthia G. They'll take her photo and share it. And they'll take her audio. And they'll take her words. They'll take her whole likeness. And then they started taking shit like addresses. And we still had black women supporting them. And they were supposed to be the intellectual leaders at places like the House of Consciousness, which can easily be said to influence more than 1 million people every year, unique impressions. But they'll take something like the address of Anila Says, not just, oh, look at her titties. Oh, she has intimate photos that are out there. But they'll take her IP location. and make it available for the real Pookies and Ray Rays. And so while 999 of them will get praise and salutes, they'll get all the numbers, they'll get the big videos. I'll still stand with the one, and I'll still stand on being one that's willing to say, fuck all that shit. Y'all are wrong. This is what right is. And if you don't believe me, nigga, take your ass back to the church. Empress Kaya says the HOK are similar to the NOI when it comes to the smear campaigning. Oh yeah, and they also do that. This is internal business. If you're not about the internal business, then leave it at that. So if there's one thing, a lot of people who aren't B1, I just take it like this. If you know you're black first, then the commentary of others shouldn't have even, I mean, yeah, we can personalize it once we feel ourselves in it and we can empathize with the personal experiences, but the opinions rather of other ethnic groups, it really doesn't hit. Just like I'm proud when black women or women in general, but black women, yeah, not women in general, black women are able to stand up and say that just because you're a man doesn't matter when that woman is standing on things that are for black women. It wasn't my position to have a position on what her position was for what black women need to do. It wasn't my position to have a position on what a good man should be for black women. I'm not gay. It wasn't my position on what a black man should do for other women. I'm working on a relationship with my wife. But when it came down to listening to black men throw black women under the bus, what I wasn't willing to do is to continue to be one of those men. And now there's a big difference that happened, a distinction. Just like there's a difference between a Mac and a pimp and a player and a trick and a John. All of them may contribute to the world of sex work. And you might think all of them can go under the bus. My issue was when they started making pedophilia their thing, talking about the age of consent as if they weren't talking about daughters. I know we can't protect women. But now you are openly advocating for that to be lowered as you travel to other places and make that the common recurring theme, that younger is better, submissive is better, mobile and all of that is better. No. And then making feminism, which is the counter or the antithesis to that narrative, the enemy or a smear campaign, nigga, no. You know where I stand, and I'm gonna keep standing on it, and I'm gonna keep finding examples from our experience. And who knows, maybe we'll find some where I'm like, damn, I gotta call myself out. Like, oh shit, I was literally supporting this and not just supporting your homeboy, but this is the way of supporting your homeboy goes wrong. I may be able to find some of those ones to where I can stand corrected. But again, when you're in this shit, yeah, it is different. Some of y'all got the privilege of autonomy. You can hide behind an avatar. But once them cartoon avatars come down and people are actually moving in a space where they can get your IP address, your address, everything you say can and is often being used against black women, do you want it to remain First Amendment, where Cynthia G can actually get fairly compensated by Mark Zuckerberg or wherever the lawsuit is from the federal government? Or are you an advocate that says black women should have nothing to do with the federal government? Thus, Cynthia G is wrong. We'll find out because black men ain't willing to find that battle. So I guess I'll join the women over here in listening to the First Amendment approach of the gender war. B1 Brother Moses, that's all I got. No, let's go watch football live and in person. Unlike a nigga whose wife or girlfriend won't get him a real ticket and can't afford a plane ticket, but think this is about smoke. Nigga, if that fat ass Jamaican ran up on me, I would run. Y'all niggas stupid. I would run because that's me putting on a cape so I don't have to take out y'all God.